historical demonstration. I moved along with my friend. He can introduce himself.
Hi, my name is Henry Livingston. I'm also a Ugandan, and I'm very glad to be here to protest this.
So somebody asked me, why should Germany demonstrate against the East African crude oil pipeline? I said, Germany should demonstrate against the East African crude oil pipeline because it is the longest ever heated fossil fuel project, that is 1,444 kilometers, crossing Uganda to Tanzania, going through aqualife, destroying water bodies, destroying wildlife, displacing 100,000 families so far. Animals have been displaced from their game reserves and now live in the communities and kill humans in Uganda. And who is funding this? Total Energies. Total Energies is celebrating 100 years, but to Africa, we mark this as 100 years of climate extinction, of destruction of our environment. We have only one planet, and as I speak, this morning, the degrees are 31 degrees Celsius in Kampala as I speak. Schools have closed in southern Sudan simply because of the continued global warming, simply because the heat is too much. Learners are fainting, and this means learners cannot enjoy fundamental human rights. It is no longer a climate disaster. It is now a human crisis that has been situated by Total Energies. That is why, for me, it is important for the voices in the global north to stand and demonstrate and send a message to their governments that are collaborating and are harboring this climate extinction in the global south, because our voices have been killed, because our voices no longer exist on ground in Uganda. I'm a victim of torture. I'm a victim of intimidation by state and state-orchestrated security intimidation. And what is my crime? Speaking against climate extinction and human rights violations. And who is situating it? Total Energies. Who is aiding Total Energies? The European Union Commission. The UN climate body is silent. EACOP is now no longer functional. So, to us, these voices matter. As I speak, activists, rebel climate activists like myself, have been thrown into prison. They are battling court cases simply because they have protested against this project. Others are living in hiding, and others, like myself, we live in exile simply because we have chosen to speak against the East African crude oil pipeline. So thank you so much, the last generation and the allies from the global north, for standing in solidarity with us, because this is very strong. I want to reproduce a quote by Antonio Guterres. And this is what Antonio Guterres says: "We cannot save a burning planet with a fire hose of fossil fuels." It is true, the world at the moment requires energy to survive. If the world is so passionate, if the communities and the investors are so passionate about investing into energies, why don't they invest into renewable energies? Because they are more safer. The Paris Agreement has said that there should be no more investment in projects that actually supersede 1.5 degrees Celsius. Total Energies is a French company, and the Paris Agreement is an international treaty. Should we say that these are just formality documents that are being used to hoodwink the extinction of our climate in the global south? I want to hold Germany accountable. I want to hold Europe accountable. I want to hold the entire international community accountable for the schools that have been closed in South Sudan and the increasing degrees in our temperature in the global south, because they have failed to implement the international treaties, which are international laws frameworks and policies that halt degrees that are going to emit. For example, EACOP is emitting 33 million carbon emissions, and we are talking about 1.5 degrees Celsius that the Paris Agreement is regulating. And the Equator Principle is saying we should not fund such projects. And we still have international European banks collaborating in the East African crude oil pipeline. Stop the international diplomatic hypocrisy now. Europe, stop the international diplomatic hypocrisy now. We do not care whether you ban us to come into Europe, but we shall tell you the truth. The other point I want to make is an important point, which I'm going to also get from a quote from Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan says that, "So, allow me to have a message for fossil fuel company leaders. Your old road is rapidly aging. Do not double down on an absolute business model." So, we are here to tell the fossil fuel companies and traders that their road has aged. It is time that voices stand up. We need global solidarity. We need unity between the global south and the global north to say no to fossil fuel projects like the East African crude oil pipeline. Stop EACOP!
Stop EACOP!
Stop EACOP!
Stop EACOP!
Stop funding our extinction!
Stop funding our extinction!
What do we want?